Hey guys, Detective Squirtle here again, coming to you with my fourth video in the Cards of Crime series, a series where we do some Pokemon pack openings and talk about famous serial killers throughout history. So I just want to say sorry, I haven't made videos in a few weeks. I've been really busy with law school and my daughter, but hopefully I'll be getting back into the groove of things starting with this video. I do plan on uploading more frequently now, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so today we're going to be opening Pokemon Sword and Shield Rebel Clash packs and talking about Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Ramirez was born on February 29th, 1960. Yep, that's Leap Day. With the birth name Ricardo Leyva Munoz Ramirez. Things don't start off very well for Ramirez, honestly, and at the age of 2, he suffered a pretty severe head injury when a dresser fell on him, knocked him out, and required more than 30 stitches. Not too long after, at the age of 5 or 6, I found some mixed results on that, but he was knocked out by a swing, and he began experiencing epileptic fits after this. By the time he was a young teenager, he became rather close with his cousin, Miguel. Miguel was a Vietnam vet, and from what I've read about him, he was very violent. He used to tell Ramirez, who at the time was between the ages of 10 and 12, of his gruesome time in Vietnam, and would detail horrific things like the mutilation of several Vietnamese women. He would apparently show him photos of that as well to back up his claim. And then, at the age of 13, Ramirez actually witnessed Miguel murder his wife. He apparently shot her in the middle of an argument. His family says this put him into an even worse fit of depression. Later that year, when he was still 13, he moved in with his sister. His sister had a husband who was apparently a serious peeping Tom and would show Ramirez a lot of the tips and tricks of the trade, so to say. While spending time with his brother-in-law, Ramirez began experimenting with Satanism. And no, not like the do what makes you happy, don't follow organized religion type of Satanism you sometimes see today. The kind of like decapitate other humans form of Satanism. As the years progressed, he fell more and more into the life of crime, dropping out of school and more serious drug offenses, and getting arrested for things like auto theft. His first murder happened in June of '84, so I believe he was 24 years old, and the victim was 79-year-old Jenny Vinko. She was sexually assaulted, stabbed, and killed during a suspected burglary. He apparently cut her neck so deep that she was practically decapitated. And it really took off from there. Most, if not all, of his murders were this kind of MO, assault, robberies, and homicides. 9 months later, he attacked Maria Hernandez, who actually managed to escape, but he killed her roommate still, Dale Okazai, if I'm pronouncing that correct. That same evening, he shot and killed Sai Lian Yu. So these were 3 attacks, which occurred in just a couple of hours, and this really brought him to more national fame. In his everlasting bloodlust, 10 days later, on March 27th, he murdered a 64-year-old man and his 44-year-old wife, first killing the husband and then assaulting and stabbing the wife while burglarizing their home along the way. Here, he actually gouged out the wife's eyes as well and put it in a jewelry box that he left at the house. This husband and wife MO was seriously repeated, and in '85, his string of robbery assaults continued. He then seriously assaulted William Doy, who later died of his injuries, and his wife, who he assaulted and raped. Just another 15 days later, he enters the home of 83 and 81-year-old pair of sisters, where he seriously tortured them and raped them. He left pentagrams on their bodies, I believe in blood, and then also covering their walls. They both ended up dying from these injuries. And so I'm not going to detail every murder he went through. Most of them followed that very same MO. Again, robbery, burglary, rape, murder. But at some point, he did get unnecessarily sloppy, I guess I would say. And officers were able to eventually put together that he was a serial killer. Their main pieces of evidence were a description from one living victim and then a single fingerprint. This led detectives to Ramirez. They then held a press conference, posting a picture of him and letting him know that now that everyone knows who he is, there's no place left for him to hide. Not too long after that, he actually realized he was spotted by some police officers and attempted to flee. In his escape, he tried a few carjackings, but was actually caught by a group of bystanders who held him until the police got there. Thankfully, his reign of terror was finally over. So there's not a ton left to this. There's some interesting things. During jury selection, he showed up to court with a pentagram drawn on his hand and yelled, "Hail Satan," which is kind of interesting. But he was ultimately convicted of 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, 14 counts of burglary, and 11 counts of sexual assault. He was sentenced to the gas chamber. On the way out of the courtroom, after being sentenced to death, he actually came out and said, "Big deal, death always went with the territory, see you in Disneyland." So it didn't seem like he was too scared to die. I suppose it's also noteworthy that he found love in prison. He began writing a woman in 1985, right after his arrest, and in 1988 they were engaged. However, they didn't marry until 1996. Her name was Doreen Loy, and she repeatedly stated that she would commit suicide when Ramirez was finally put to death. However, they actually split up, and she never got the chance to fulfill her promise. Well, guys, that's the story of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. I hope you enjoyed, and if you liked the video for either the pack opening or the story of the co-ed killer, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks so much.